Hey there, folks. My name is Addison. Today I wanted to tell you about Timothy Dexter. Timothy Dexter was born in Massachusetts in 1747. He had little schooling and worked on a farm until he was 16, and after that he became an apprentice to a leather dresser. Many of his social contemporaries thought he was very unintelligent, and many of them gave him bad business advice to try and discredit him and make him lose his fortune. Let's see how his fortune panned out, and how he made all of his money. When the American Revolutionary War ended, he bought large amounts of depreciated continental currency that was worthless at the time. After the war was over, the U.S. government paid him for what the dollars had been worth, netting him a nice sum. By the time trade connections resumed in the U.S., he had amassed a fortune. He built 2 ships and began exporting goods to the West Indies and to Europe. Since he wasn't very smart, with his whole lack of schooling thing, his business sense was seen as peculiar. He decided to send warming pans, used to heat sheets in the cold New England winters, for sale to the West Indies, where it's, warm most of the time. The captain of his ship managed to sell them as ladles for the local molasses industry and made a good profit. This was essentially Dexter's life. He continuously ran into business moves that everyone saw as mistakes that worked perfectly for him. Next, Dexter sent wool mittens to the same place, where it was still warm, mind you, where Asian merchants bought them for export to Siberia. People jokingly told him to ship coal to Newcastle, which he, of course, did. He did so during a miners' strike at the time, and the cargo was sold at a premium, making him even more money. At another time, 18th century pranksters told him that he could make money shipping gloves to the South Sea Islands. His luck would have it that his ships arrived there in time to sell the gloves to Portuguese boats on their way to China. He exported Bibles to the East Indies and stray cats to Caribbean islands, and again made a profit. Eastern missionaries needed the Bibles, and the Caribbean needed a solution to rat infestation. He also hoarded whalebone by mistake, like how I keep all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards for when they inevitably go up in value, but ended up selling them profitably as a support material for corsets. Members of the New England high society rarely socialized with him. To fit in better, Dexter decided to buy a huge house in Newburyport from a local socialite and tried to emulate him to fit in. This caused a lot of problems within his family. The best example came from when he started telling visitors that his wife had died, despite the fact that she hadn't, and that the woman who frequented the building was simply her ghost. Dexter was crazy enough that he once faked his own death just to see how people would react. About 3,000 people attended Dexter's mock wake, but Dexter spied in on the event and didn't see his wife cry, and after he revealed the hoax, he caned her for not grieving his death sufficiently, because that's normal. Dexter decorated his house in Newburyport with minarets, small tower structures, a golden eagle on top of the house, a mausoleum for himself, and a garden of 40 wooden statues of famous men, including George Washington, Napoleon Bonaparte, Thomas Jefferson, me, and himself. It had the inscription, "I am the first in the East, the first in the West, and the greatest philosopher in the Western world." So, the moral of this story is, if you want to live a successful life, just be really, really lucky. Also, sell winter tires to Brazil, probably.